Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the 2018 to present next generation FP Journe Linesport Chronographe Monopoussoir, a timepiece 44 millimeters in titanium that wears feather light on my 16 centimeters circumference wrist. It is not a thick watch, though 44 millimeters in diameter. It's only 12.2 millimeters thick, meaning it's exactly as thick as a Rolex Daytona. Tough to measure this watch because lug to lug it would be extremely compact, but you can see the lugs don't really define the outer edge of the watch. The links do. So there's an inflexible set of links outboard, and if you measure edge to edge across the links, you wind up with a span across the wrist of 53.7 millimeters. But because of the shape of the links arced around the wrist, I actually believe you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, securely and comfortably. The bracelet is a handsome piece, and it's a little bit quirky in the FP Journe style. Nothing is normal about FP Journe or FP Journe watches. Let's get a little bit closer here. You can see that it's a frosted finish, so the whole watch is executed in a matte finish. And as with the case flank, there is a rubber bumper system both on the outer faces of the links as well as down the center. The links themselves are feather light, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a splayed V pattern to the outer links. If you look on the underside, you can see that FP Journe had ventilation in mind, so not only will this bracelet not pinch skin or pull hair, but it won't trap wrist heat. Upscale fabrication, no pin sleeves here, removable links are fixed by screws. Now there are spring-loaded steel pin snaps internally, so the clasp, although it is friction fit, is one of the more deluxe and thoughtfully executed friction fit systems you'll encounter, as in order to open it you effectively need to activate a trigger shim housed inside the outer facing of the clasp. So it's not strictly a friction fit system. It does have a little bit of a leveraged lift lock. The closest thing I can imagine would be something like a conventional Rolex Oyster clasp on something like a Datejust without the clamshell. This works like that. There's a vertical trigger system. Now jumping back to the case, you can see the rubber bumper on the flank. The case band is relatively simple. There's a handsome bevel that runs all the way around the case, and I like that nuance that transitions from the flanks to the tops of the case. The bezel has a ceramic insert, so it's robustly scratch resistant, and so too is the sapphire over the dial. It is basically a flat sapphire, which accentuates the slender profile of the watch. Getting a little bit closer, you can see that the dial is anything but standard for other brands, though FP Journe fans will feel right at home. You can see applique numerals in the signature Journe style. There is a 60-second railroad style track outboard, or it could be a minutes track if you prefer to read the minutes against that scale. The bezel at center, because you have to have a dial side bezel and bezel bolts on an FP Journe watch. Frame sapphire chronograph minutes and constant seconds registers with splashes of red to match. There's a double-digit date down at 6 o'clock, and there is a quick set system for the date that allows you to rapidly cycle the double-digit date, and it is quite legible with a lovely red on white print that has the feel of a vintage Jaeger-LeCoultre calendar watch. Now the biomorphic Journe style hour and minute hands are loomed, so this watch will have a loom shot. What appears at first glance to be a conventional chronograph is actually a Monopusher Rattrapante. So what appears to be the reset trigger is actually the split trigger for the seconds hand. You can use the system to gauge the difference between a car and a pursuing car around a racetrack. Is the gap waxing and waning? Well, you get to decide. Simply by splitting the seconds when the first car passes the start finish, and then stopping the seconds hand when the second car passes. It's also just a lot of fun objectively to play with it. But remember, because it's not a conventional start-stop chronograph, once you stop it, you must reset it. Manual wind, 80-hour power reserve. Let's pop open the bracelet entirely and take a look at the case back. This caliber is the caliber 1518, so it is a big movement. As you can see, 29 joules, manual wind. It is based on the 2017 only watch Monopusher chronograph, though in some ways it's technically more advanced. All of the bridges and plates are executed in aluminum, so the watch is extremely light. You can see 1 2-column wheels. The system designed to split the seconds thanks to a split-second bridge at center. You can see the reset system, a maze of levers and bridges and wheels and springs and column wheels. It is glorious, with every single screw head black polished, circular Côte de Genève, as you can see, across the bridges. Now the movement features a very large balance, beating away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It is free sprung, so it takes multi-position adjustment, and then the free sprung architecture gives it robust shock resistance. You will appreciate the fact that instead of a conventional lateral clutch, there is a oscillating pinion. You can just see it below my finger. FP Journe, of course, designed a chronograph movement with an oscillating pinion decades ago for Cartier with the Cartier Monopoussoir. It was also used, for example, in the original de Bethune DB1 chronograph, because Denis Flageolet, then a business partner of FP Journe, had a part in the creation. Well, the advantage of that oscillating pinion is that there's very little stagger or stutter to the chronograph seconds hand when it starts and stops. The thing about the oscillating pinion is it doesn't have the play that you find in a conventional lateral clutch chronograph, but unlike a vertical clutch, which is difficult to see and results in an ugly movement, the oscillating pinion preserves the aesthetic value of a lateral clutch chronograph. Now, of course, this is an impressively finished movement, all the more so because it is an enormous timepiece with a movement to match, and you can easily appreciate that movement without the benefit of a loop. This is a timepiece for the horological connoisseur who wants something just a little bit sportier than a standard FP Journe dress watch. Impressive on both sides. You can see it and make it yours on the watch box. The FP Journe Linesport Chronographe Monopusher by night.